Hi there, my name's April Sawtell and welcome to my channel. Today what I'm going to be doing is just showing you this quick little improv quilt behind me. This is the third quilt I've made with these same colors and these same scraps. I did have different fat quarters. I have a variety of fabrics I'm using here. I've got yardage, I've got scraps, I've got some clothes that I'm putting into this one. Not much. I did put more clothes in the other two that I had already made. So this is how this one came out. I think it's going to be adorable. I can't wait to quilt it. What you're going to need today, I've got my rulers. I've got a variety of sizes. I've got the long rulers, a 2.5-inch long ruler. I've got a 10-inch square ruler, a 8.5-inch square ruler, scissors, snips, rotary cutter, and I've got a seam ripper here. I've got my iron and my iron and mat, and I think that's it. I've got a whole bundle of scraps that I will be putting into this, as well as some yardage, fat quarters. I've got just a big variety. So I don't have a pattern for this at all. It's just improv. I just make it up as I go. I thought you just might like to watch, and maybe you'll be inspired to do some improv quilting as well. Okay? So for this project, what I'm going to be using is I have this little bundle of superhero fabric. So I have some little fat quarters here. Since I've already made 2 other superhero quilts, I'm going to keep this one superhero themed. So I am just going to use these. I'm just going to try to use up everything out of this basket here. There's scrubs, there's pants, there's curtains, there's jeans, lots and lots of scrubs still in here that have already been cut up. I'm going to try to make this with all of my scraps that I have. For the 3 little grandkids that are in daycare and they need daycare quilts to have there. So this is the 3rd one that I'm doing. This is going to be in the red, white, and blue. Now I'm just going to take all these scraps and see what I can come up with. Let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press all of my fat quarters and I'm going to start cutting them up because I know those are going to be my focal point in my quilt. I'm just going to figure out how I want to go about cutting them. I have an idea, so I'm just going to play around with this idea and see where it takes me. My brand new iron that I got has a leak, and it's brand new, but it's old. I've had it a long time up in the closet, and it doesn't seem to want to shut right. So I'm just going to have to deal right now with a leaky iron until I figure something else out. I can see it leaking right out the bottom of my iron. This is the first time I've used this iron. This little grandson's favorite character is Iron Man, and we have to sometimes call him Iron Man. Sometimes when his mother wants him to do something, she actually calls him Iron Man. So this is going to be the focal point of the quilt. I want to figure out how I want to do this, so I am going to just start cutting this up. I think what I'm going to do is make a big like rectangle, and then I think I'm just going to make a square here. Here's the little grippies that I put on the back of my rulers. Oh, it's working out so good. Because I'm not going to be really fussy on this and I can just use this all up, I think if I make a 10-inch rectangle, then I have some room to make a 8.5-inch square. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut the edge off to straighten this up. So I've got my line here on my ruler, where that's nice and straight, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut this side off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line this edge up here on my left right up to the line on my mat. I'm going to use my mat for this now. And I'm going to count over 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Count twice. You always want to count twice, so you only have to cut once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this. So here's my 10-inch piece. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the selvage off now. That a cut right there. And all I'm going to do is just give this a straight cut. I don't need my mat to make this straight. I just need to line up any line on your ruler, bring it over, Keep this line nice and straight. Cut the least amount off that I have to. I don't like to waste much, so I'm going to keep this piece this long for right now. I'm not sure if I want it that long or not. As I get going, I'll see. I'm going to cut off my 8.5 inch block now. Scraps here, I have a little bundle of them. That was in my scrap bin. I'm going to take those and I'm going to match them up with some of these white strips I had in my scrap bin. And I'm going to cut some of the white and the blue down to also the 3.5 inches. It's all 2.5 inches wide. And then I'm just going to alternate them. Red, white, and blue, red, white, and blue, red, white, and blue. And I'm just going to make a big long strip with that and see where that takes me. I'm on my Juki sewing machine and I've got my painter's tape here. That's my guide. I'm just going to follow 1/4 inch all the way down. I'm using a very light gray thread here. So I'm just going to lay this down and I'm going to open this. And the way this is going to open, I'm going to take it from this dark side and I'm just going to open it and I'm going to finger press it. That's going to make that red go on the dark side. And I'm just going to do that all the way through. This one, I'm going to put a blue. So when I go to fold that over, I want that to fold to the dark side. And I'll show you that. I'll finger press that as well. So the dark color's on the top. I'm just going to pull that over. That's going to make the blue go right over the seam. So you're not going to see that through the white. So I've got red, white, and blue. I'm just going to continue to make red, white, and blue. I'm going to make a whole long strip of this and see where that takes me. I decided to put blue sash in between the strips on this particular one. So all those sash in pieces are 2.5 by 8.5 inches. I just did 1/4 inch all the way down. And as soon as I was done that one, I would fold it over, do 1/4 inch down. I did that all the way through. I don't have a piece long enough, so I'm going to start attaching a few of the shorter pieces I have together to make this long piece of border that I need. Now I'm just going to put a 2.5 inch border on each side of these squares. So each block has a sash in between, a 2.5 inch by 8 inch sash in, and on each side I'm going to put a 2.5 by the length of the strip. You can just go ahead and set the seam here. Go ahead and open that seam right up now and just give this a good press. I'm going to take this piece here and all I'm going to do is cut a bunch of 2.5 inch widths of fabric, whatever I've got here, and I'm going to find a place to put those. Right now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take the red strips, they're 2.5 inch by width of fabric, and the white strips, they're the same, and I'm just going to make a border all the way around. I'm going to start with the white right now, and then I'm going to put the red. Now all I'm going to do is I'm just adding this red piece of trim on. I'm going to go on both sides, the 2 long sides, and then I'll do the 2 short sides. After you press each seam open on each border, go ahead now and just trim the edges off. And then you're going to do each side now. You've already done the length all the way down on both sides. Now you're just going to put I'm going to put a piece of red right here across. First, I'm going to give this a little trim. I'm going to do that after each row, as I'm also going to be pressing between each row. And I'm pressing toward the dark side. I'm just going to cut this extra piece off right here so it's easy to work with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew this little guy. This is my focal point. I'm going to sew this onto this and I'll be right back. I'm going to just do 1/4 inch seam. I'm just going to go ahead and give this a quick press. And remember, my iron is just spitting out water like crazy. I will be going to town today, so I think I'm going to have to run in and grab another iron. I really like these ones. It's just so inexpensive, but this one is brand spanking new. It's old. I've had it a long time up in the closet, but just is not something seriously wrong with it. So you can see what I did here. I wanted to just get this piece on. I didn't know exactly how wide this was gonna be. I didn't want to pre-cut it. I just wanted to get it attached. So I attached this red and then I attached this. Now what I'm gonna do, I don't want a skinny piece only as big as the piece that my focal point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold this over until it meets up. So basically I'm just folding this in half, the whole thing, bringing the sides together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch here. But first I'm going to trim that up. You're probably going, what on earth are you going to do with all that extra stuff? I'm going to show you. I just want to go ahead and clean this edge up. So I'm just going to line this up and take off anything that's not under the ruler. I'm going to make a nice line right here. Now, I've got this folded in half. I don't want to lose all this piece here. So this side is on a fold, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut that fold right off. I'll make my line straight here and straight down at the bottom, and I'm just going to cut that fold right off. That's going to allow me to open this up after, so I'm not wasting all this part here. I'm getting that width that I want. So what I'm going to do is I can go ahead and I can trim this piece off right now, just so it's out of the way. All right, I'm going to take this to my sewing machine now, and I'm just going to sew these two pieces together. Okay, so when I open this, I'll have a nice big piece. I'm going to go do that and I'll be right back. Go ahead and set this seam, and then I'm going to open this up. Pushing that seam right out. So I bought the Best Press. I told you guys that the other day. It came, and look, I'm going to get this wrinkle out that I haven't been able to get out. So this is the first time I've tried it. Oh my, that wrinkle came right out. It was so deep set. I don't know if you can see that here, but I was not able to get that out. It's out. Oh, and it smells so good. Okay, I'm gonna have an awful lot of fun experimenting with that Best Press. Especially where I just love ironing, so that should make it a lot more fun. It was fun enough. Now it's going to be even more fun. Oh, that smells so good. This one I got was the Mary Ellen's Best Press Lavender Fields. And it smells good. I love lavender. I actually have lavender in a mister too going on right now. So my house smells pretty good right this moment. So here's what it's looking like so far. But now I think I've really decided I do want to give it a cut right down, not the middle. I just want to cut it somewhere and I want to put it back together. I just want it to look a little bit more busier and not quite so square. I'm just going to go ahead and cut from the top to the bottom, and I'm not sure exactly where, but I'll come back and I'll show you. Here's where I've made that cut, as you can see. So here's how my little quilt top came out. You can see right here is where I did the cut, and what I did was I added a piece of sash in just in between that. I thought that gave that some nice dimension. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Remember to keep it simple. Have a nice day. Thanks for watching. Bye.